Welcome to Lift Up Your Hearts podcast. This is a podcast that is mostly for me. It's mostly a podcast so that I take the time every week, maybe a couple times a week, and contemplate the Lord's love for me and use Ignatius' style, St. Ignatius of Loyola's style, to meditate, imaginatively meditate and contemplate upon the scriptures so that I can fully receive God's love for me, so that I can know Him and love Him and give my life to Him, so that I can lift up my heart to Him so that He can fulfill it for me. He can fill it up for me. I can raise my mind and my heart to the Lord so that I can receive His love. As one of the greatest things we can do here on earth is simply to receive God's love. And if you get almost nothing out of this podcast about the scriptures or imaginatively contemplating them or whatever, I hope that you get what Ignatius asks us to do at the very beginning. If we can wake up every single morning and contemplate how the Lord our God looks upon us with love, and just take 5 minutes or however long, take some time at least to imaginatively contemplate the Father looking upon us with love, how He looks upon us with love. Notice as well, especially that Ignatius says, how the Lord looks upon us with love, not that He does, but how He does. The tenderness, the mercy, the loving compassion that He has for us. Not a contemplation whether He looks upon us with love every day, but how He looks upon us with love. If we can take that time every single day, and that can be the backbone of our prayer life, is waking up in the morning and contemplating how the Lord looks upon us with love. Because I know that the sensation that it brings about in me is that I'm not alone. No matter how my day is, how bad my day was or is or will be, no matter what I'm facing, I'm not facing it alone. I don't have to do it alone. I think of my daughter knowing that her father looks upon her with love and compassion every single day. I hope that allows her to have some sense of ease, and that she's not doing this alone, that no matter what happens in this day, her father's love for her is not going to change. And so we take this beginning of our prayer and we contemplate how the Lord looks upon us with love. If you want to use your imagination, I highly encourage it. This is what Ignatius asks us to do. How the Lord looks upon us with love. How does He look at me? What does that embrace, does that look feel like to us? Maybe we have someone here on earth that gives us that look of love, that unconditional look of love. And maybe we use our imagination and see the Father in a similar manner. Or maybe we don't have anyone that has ever looked upon us that way. And we can use our imagination to contemplate how it would be. How the Father looks upon us with love. And we'll take at least the moment of in Our Father. I'm not going to take that much because I'm scared of dead air. But you can push pause or you can come back to this later. But I highly encourage you to do that. And with that theme today of waking up and contemplating the Father, today we're going to kind of contemplate. This will be a meditation in some ways. We'll imaginatively meditate. We'll meditate on these truths. Okay, Ignatius has this meditation and contemplation, and really the difference between those two is I can meditate on the body of the prayer. The difference in the body of the prayer is that I meditate upon the truths in love, and the Lord speaking them to me in love. The contemplation part, the part that we've been doing for the last 4 weeks, has been I imaginatively place myself into the Scripture and I contemplate what's happening there. And then when something strikes me, I converse with the Lord about that. We can do the very same thing in the Psalms, in the Old Testament readings, in any of the letters, or even in some of the Gospels as well. Maybe there's kind of a sermon or something. There's truths being told, and maybe he's just kind of preaching to a large group, or I can still take those truths. I can meditate upon those truths. Today, that's what we're going to do. And the theme here with like what we can do every single day, or waking up and contemplating the Father's love for me and how he looks upon me with love. Today's psalm for Mass is Psalm 95, which would be, for the most part, the psalm that every priest and religious says every single day. It's a psalm that I've prayed thousands of times, and for sure thousands of times, I guess. And so there's options of the invitatory. It's one of the options for the invitatory prayer in the Liturgy of the Hours. If you don't know what the Liturgy of the Hours is, it's a set of the psalms that are prayed by the priests and religious and deacons and bishops, all ordained ministers, every single day, 5 times a day. And throughout the course of 4 weeks, about typically, they go through all the psalms. Some of them are repeated more often. The invitatory is one of those that is meant to be said kind of in the morning. That's why, the very beginning, we mark ourselves with the sign of the cross, saying, Lord, open my lips. It's like they've been closed all night, They've been closed all night. Lord, open my lips and my mouth will proclaim your praise. And so one of the choices for the Psalms, for the invitatory, is Psalm 95. And it's also the one that we read at Mass today, or you will hear at Mass today on Sunday, September 10th. So we're going to go through that one. I love the Psalms, and this is certainly one that speaks to my heart. So, and it's also one that, I think about a priest or any ordained minister waking up every single day and saying this psalm. And this is one that, I don't say the Liturgy of the Hours every single day, but lots of days. And I'll do the invitatory every single day. And so I think I'm going to probably just read through it 1 or 2 times and stop when something strikes me. I'll probably stop, the second time I read it through when something strikes me, or encourage you to dive deeper into one of those little sections. What is the Lord saying to me during this little section? And try to, we're recalling that this is said every single morning. It's meant to frame our day. It's the backbone of our day. Like I said, it's the structure of our day. This is meant to frame everything. The Lord is my God, my rock, my salvation. I should bow down and worship him. So I'm going to read it through once, just read through the whole thing. And then I'll read it through kind of slow. And then, allow it to kind of wash over you. Like I said, like a shower or a waterfall. It's all immersive. allow the first reading to maybe wash away the anxieties of the day or whatever's happening or things you're worried about and things you're thinking about or planning or whatever else. Allow yourself to immerse yourself into this psalm. A little note, I am going to be reading the whole psalm. We don't read, just a note for most people, we don't read the whole psalm at Mass. We typically pick a couple verses, like 8 verses or 10 verses, and sing or say those. Psalms sometimes are much longer. Very few of them are shorter. So if we say, if it says Psalm 95 at Mass today, you see that, you'll probably also notice that we don't read the entire thing. But I'm going to read the entire thing. Allow the whole thing to wash over us. Okay? Come, let us sing to the Lord and shout with joy to the rock who saves us. Let us approach him with praise and thanksgiving and sing joyful songs to the Lord. The Lord is God, the mighty God, the great King over all the gods. He holds in his hands the depths of the earth, and the highest mountains as well. He made the sea, it belongs to him. The dry land too, for it was formed by his hands. Come then, let us bow down and worship, bending the knee before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are his people, the flock he shepherds. Today, listen to the voice of the Lord. Do not grow stubborn as your fathers did in the wilderness, when at Meribah and Massah they challenged me and provoked me, although they had seen all of my works. 40 years I endured that generation. I said, they are a people whose hearts go astray, and they do not know my ways. So I swore in my anger, they shall not enter into my rest. Again, we can see how this might frame our entire day. I'll kind of grab all the quick themes here. Come, let us sing to the Lord. So we say, Lord, open my lips and my mouth will proclaim your praise. And my first thing is that I will sing to the Lord and shout with joy to the rock who saves us. Framing my entire day giving praise to the Lord. The Lord is God, the mighty God, the great King over all the gods. Framing our God as the great King over all the gods, the highest mountains as well. He made the sea. He created everything. He is the creator of everything. Therefore, come then, let us bow down and worship, bending the knee before the Lord our Maker. As I heard recently on a podcast, if we don't, we are meant to worship. And if we don't worship the King, the Lord our Maker, we will worship stuff. We will worship the profane. We will worship the creature. We will worship ourselves. We are meant to do this. We are created to do this. So because he is the creator, we will bow down and worship. And then today, this is one of my favorite lines, I think. Probably because maybe I struggle with it the most. I don't know. Today, listen to the voice of the Lord, as opposed to all the other voices and my own. And then he reminds us that he endured the generations in the desert, 40 years. Their hearts went astray, and I swore that they wouldn't enter into my rest. the rest of the Father. So I'll read through this again. We'll take some time to contemplate it as we go. And you might just read this on your own. Maybe read it slowly. As Father Gallagher said, there might be a row of houses. You know, there's a whole neighborhood of houses, and I'm going to start at the first house, and I'm looking for my friend. I don't know which house my friend is in. And if he's in the first house, I'm not going to go to all the other houses. I'm going to stay there with him. Okay, we're looking for the Lord in this conversation. What stirs up the conversation? If he's not in the first house, I will go to the second. And someday, you know, today you're hearing this, might be Sunday, might be Tuesday, might be Wednesday. Maybe this day he's in the first house. Something right away strikes you. I remember Father Gallagher asking me to contemplate Psalm 139. And I told him the next day when, you know, I was reading through my journal, I said, I didn't get past the first line. Lord, you search me and you know me. I was in puddles. Not to make light of it, because it was very intimate. Lord, you search me and you know me. He wanted to speak to me right there. He wanted to say, I know you. You don't have to hide from me. I love you. And that's why I stayed the whole hour. I stayed there the whole hour. I encourage you to do that. Now, I'm going to move through the whole thing. Something that I say might strike you. Just stop. Push pause, push stop. I don't care if you listen to this whole thing. I don't care what the algorithm says. I don't care if I get more downloads or listens or listening time. I don't care. I want you to have the relationship with the Lord that he is waiting for you to have. So if something strikes you or something I say strikes you right away, stop. And be with that for a while. And ask, just be with that thought. Be with that, as Ignatius says, be with that truth and contemplate that truth. Meditate on that truth. And converse with the Lord in love in that truth. And I frame this psalm as, this is the beginning of the day. This is meant to frame my whole life. Okay, this is who God is, and because of who he is, how I should frame my life around that. And so I read it in that sense. It's kind of it's an orientation. It's a reorienting every single morning. Come, let us sing to the Lord every single morning. Okay. So you say, come, let us sing to the Lord and shout with joy to the rock who saves us. Immediately I think of the times that I have felt truly saved from my sin because I've been buried in sin. And the feeling of the weight off my back after going to confession and wanting to shout for joy to the rock who saved me. And then let us approach him with praise and thanksgiving and sing joyful songs to the Lord. Especially this Sunday. This is a Sunday, It's a day to party. It's a day to rest in the Lord's goodness, that he's created us and he loves us. Let us approach him with praise and thanksgiving. The Mass, Eucharistia means thanksgiving. The Mass is a thanksgiving. It's an act of justice. It's a thanksgiving act of justice that I owe to God. And this orients my whole day. I'll sing to the Lord and shout with joy that he saved me. I'll praise and give him thanks. I encourage you to try to make these, maybe, some days, I'm sure there's plenty of priests, and myself included, that these words are not natural. And sometimes I just got to say them for them to be true in my own heart. They're always true, of course. But for them to be true in my own heart, I have to take a moment of silence before that. I can't just rush through this, because then it's just like any other any other thing. Come, let us sing to the Lord and shout with joy to the rock who say. That's not. I'm sure that happens, and some days it's just not. You don't feel it, but that's also not love, right? It's not a feeling. It's a choice. It's willing. So, but some days I will, man. Some days I can't believe I'm saved. I can't believe it. The Lord is God, the mighty God, the great King over all the gods in my life. I think it's, for me at least, it's really easy to think of the Greek gods or all these other gods. No. For me, it's also really encouraging to think of all the other gods that I create because I worship them. The Lord is God, the mighty God, the great King over all the other gods. He's the king over all the other gods, especially in the morning when I'm worried about all the stuff I got to do. And those things can be lesser gods. So I take a deep breath and I'm reminded, the Lord is God, the mighty God, the great King over all the gods. He holds in his hands the depths of the earth and the highest mountains as well. It's teeny to him. This God, the gods that I make are so little. Man, they can't do anything. And they cause all this extra anxiety too. But the mighty God, the great King over all the gods, he holds in his hands the depths of the earth and the highest mountains. He made the sea, it belongs to him. He made the sea, it belongs to him. The dry land too, for it was formed by his hands. All of it he made. I wish it said therefore, but it says come then. Okay. Therefore, come then, let us bow down and worship, bending the knee before the Lord our Maker. As creator of all, who holds the depths of the earth, the highest mountains, the sea, the dry land. Therefore, let us come and bow down, bend down, and worship. For he is our God, and we are his people. Not just this God out there who doesn't care about me. He is my God, our God, and we are his people, the flock he shepherds and cares about, the flock, the sheep that he cares about and loves. This kind of just I don't know, last week it kind of made me feel like God was a coach coaching me up. This is it's like a morning motivational speech, Come, let us sing. Come on, men. Let us sing. Let us make a joyful noise. For our God is a great God over all the gods. He holds in his hands the depths of the earth and the mountains and the sea and the land. Therefore, let us bow down and worship. For he is our God, and we are his people, the flock he shepherds. Then today listen to the voice of the Lord. Do not grow stubborn, as your fathers did in the wilderness. When at Meribah and Massah they challenged me and provoked me, although they had seen all of my works. Man, yeah, I do that, don't I? Man, listen to his voice. Don't grow stubborn. Because I've seen his works. I've seen his works. Therefore, I need to listen to him and not grow stubborn and listen to myself. I need to listen to him because I've seen his works in my own life and the lives of my loved ones. Because 40 years he endured that generation. He said, there are people whose hearts go astray. Lord, please don't let my heart go astray. Because I know your works. Please, Lord, let me listen to your voice. Do not let my heart go astray. Help me to see you, to love you, to worship you, to bend my knee before you, to be your people, to be the sheep that you shepherd. Lord, allow me to be shepherded. Allow me to have the joy in my heart that I want, I desire, because you've saved me, because you love me, because you look upon me with love. Because you are my God, my Savior. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Again, if you've found some grace or some fruits from this prayer, I encourage you to share them with others. I encourage you to come back next week and listen along and pray along. I really hope this allows you, empowers you to have the prayer life you've wanted and to know that it's not as difficult as you thought. I think sometimes our prayer life seems like it's going to be so hard, and there's lots of rigor to it, and really we can just wake up every morning and contemplate how the Lord looks upon me with love. And we can say Psalm 95. Maybe you want to start saying that every single morning. Just memorize it, make it be a part of your life. I highly, highly encourage you to do that. I think it would be phenomenal for your prayer life if you did that. So I hope to see you next week. Please give me some feedback on these podcasts. Let me know if they're working for you. And if you have some other suggestions, some other things to meditate or pray about. And then I hope you share that with others, especially if someone has said they're struggling with prayer and they just want some type of tool. I know this isn't for everyone. This might be kind of difficult for some people, but I hope that this helps. Know that I'm praying for you. Please pray for me. God bless.